This is Arvind Vora, founder of Vora Method and author of The Equation for Excellence: How to Make Your Child Excel at Math. In this video, I'm going to tell you how I got a perfect score on the GMAT and on the GRE, and how I finished both tests with well over an hour to spare. Now, if you don't know what the GRE and the GMAT are, they're kind of like the SAT, but you take them after college, so they're obviously harder. People take the GRE if they want to go to grad school. They take the GMAT if they want to go to business school, and they take both if they just want to show off. Now, while some people get perfect scores on them, very, very few people do, and almost no one finishes them that quickly. I finished the GMAT about an hour and 20 minutes early, and I finished the GRE about an hour and 45 minutes early. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how that's done. It comes down to basically understanding one big idea. If you can understand this idea, you can learn how to build these skills. There is a difference between the way that your brain perceives time and the way that the clock measures time. And the mistake that people make in math and reading and everything is they trust their brain clock, which is very subjective, which is all over the place, instead of the reality clock, the actual clock. Let's get a sense of how radically subjective your brain clock is, how unreliable it can be. Imagine you're standing in the line, this boring line. You have no cell phone, no way to entertain yourself. What's going to happen? Even though there's only maybe 5 minutes, you're only in the line for maybe only 5 minutes, it might feel to you subjectively that you're in the line for 20 minutes. It's going to drag on. It's going to feel so slow. On the other hand, suppose you're playing a great video game and you start to play and you think, half an hour has gone by and it's been 10 hours. You see daylight coming up and you thought you were just going to play for, half hour, 45 minutes. That's how unreliable your brain clock is. Your brain clock cannot be trusted. Now, people say, well, maybe time flies when you're having fun. It's not actually that. It's not about having fun, because if you're taking a test racing against the clock, time is still going to fly, even though taking a test is not really all that fun. Now, people say, well, maybe it also flies when you're dreading something. Well, not true. The thing that you dread, that people dread more than anything else, is death. And it is simply false to say that from the time you're born, or from the time that you learn about death to the time that you actually die, every single moment seems to be just rushing past you. Even though you don't want to die, if you're standing in line, you're still going to be like, oh my God, will this process hurry up and end? So the fact that you're dreading something in the future is not enough to make time seem to speed up. To understand what's actually happening, we need to understand the 7 plus or minus 2 rule. Your brain, in its short-term working memory, can hold 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information. If it's very complex, it might be closer to 5. If it's very simple information, it might be closer to 9. But 7 plus or minus 2 is the general rule that cognitive scientists use to determine how much information a person can store in their brain at a given time. Now, here's the important thing. Suppose that your brain has stored no information at all. There's no information currently that you're thinking about right this second. Guess what your brain can do? It can start to, like a clock, keep very, very, very excruciatingly detailed track of time. So in this situation, where your brain is not occupied, time is going to seem to go very slowly. The clock might say that a minute passed, but it might feel to you like 10 minutes passed. On the other hand, let's say your brain is nearly full. Now your brain clock cannot keep track of time. So to your brain clock, it'll seem like no time passed. Even though the clock might say 20 or 30 or even 40 minutes passed, to your brain clock, no time passed. That's why, whether you're playing a video game, which you enjoy, or a test that you maybe don't enjoy that much, your brain clock is going to stop keeping effective track of time, and time is going to seem to fly by. And that's also why, if you have very little in your brain and you're just in this situation, time is going to seem to drag. And what you want to have happen, if you're taking a test like the SAT or GRE or GMAT or whatever, and you want to get a perfect score, you want to finish it quickly, you actually want time to drag. Let's actually see what it looks like when time is slowing down. This is a famous clip we're about to watch from the Spider-Man movie, in which Peter Parker is facing a bully, and the outside world time seems to go very, very slowly to him, giving him essentially super speed. Let's take a look at what that's like. Notice that because the outside time is slowed down, he in comparison seems super fast. What he's able to do in a split second, what somebody else would take a very long time to do. And that idea, this being able to fight like Spider-Man, to be able to have the rest of the world be super slow, and so you're super fast, that's what it takes to be able to get a perfect score on something like the GRE or the GMAT or the SAT or any other standardized test or any other school test. So here's how we create that Spider-Man-like speed. Essentially, you need to make sure that your brain, while you're doing a very difficult problem, you need to make sure that your brain is not weighed down with information. Because if your brain is full of information, time is going to fly. But if your brain is empty of information, you're going to fly. You're going to be faster than the clock. You're going to be racing ahead of everyone else. It's going to be like Spider-Man. Somebody's trying to punch you, but it looks like slow motion. It's so easy for you to dodge. The same with a math or reading problem. It'll look so easy and slow to you while you race right through it effectively and doing everything right. So how do you get your brain to not be weighed down when you're doing a difficult problem? It's simple. All you have to do is write down every single math step or every single reading step, whatever it is, just write down every single step. Now guess what's happening? Instead of all that math clogging up your brain, the math's on the paper. Your brain doesn't have to juggle it. So your brain is going to be able to move ahead quickly. It might feel slow, but that's good. You want, just like to Spider-Man, that fight might have felt slow, but that's what makes him so good in the fight. You want time to feel slow. You want time to seem to drag while you're taking the test so that you're super fast with respect to that time. And that's what it takes. You write down every single step. It will feel slower, but you will be faster. On the other hand, if you do the steps in your head, it's going to feel fast. You know why? Your brain is jammed with all the math steps. So your brain's totally occupied. It's not keeping track of time. So it seems like no time has passed at all. It's that same as the situation of the video game. It feels to you like 45 minutes passed, but really 10 hours passed. Similarly, in this case, it might feel to you like just a second passed, but in reality, 10, 20, 30 seconds or 5 minutes have passed on the actual clock. That's what happens when you do math in your head. So for speed and accuracy, the number one thing you can do is to put your math steps on the paper, every single step. That's how I did it. That's how I got perfect scores. That's how I did the test with well over an hour to spare. And if you use that same method, you'll be able to do the same thing on standardized tests, school tests, whatever.